Welcome to this Prepare Like a Pro Live Chats Weekly Update. My name is Jack McLean. I'm the host, and today I'll be discussing all things around how to improve your high-speed running during this summer. And then we'll quickly go over this week's program. It's actually the last week for most of our athletes, as it's grand final week this week for their in-season 2022 strength and conditioning program. For those on our trial or those in off-season, you've already started your off-season program. So obviously this share screen, for those watching on YouTube, it looks a little bit different than those in the off-season program, as I'm very much still focused on grand final week for those in season. But on the topic of improving your high-speed running, one of the most effective methods I've found with the program is short rep running. So doing efforts of 60 meters, 70 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters, 100, 120 and 150s. You break them up. Work to rest ratio should be anywhere between 1 to 1, 1 to 1.5, and 1 to 2. So that's if you're doing let's say a 150 meter effort, it takes you 30 seconds. You give yourself at least 30 seconds rest, maybe a 45-second rest or up to a minute. So the priority is intensity, and by intensity, I mean how fast you're moving when we're focusing on high-speed running capacity. For those that are elite, we can do things like jog returns or shorter rest periods, because they'll still be able to produce high speed and intensity with shorter rest periods due to the years that they've done the work. Their aerobic capacity and their ability to handle that intensity is far greater to those that have just been working on it for maybe their first pre-season or second or third. But some key things to do when you've got a program or a workout ahead and you're about to hit the track, just simply divide the distance that you're traveling. So let's say you're doing 100-meter reps, you got 10 100-meter efforts, by the meters per second that you need to maintain to get the stimulus. So for adult men, to get high-speed running from our GPS on how we look at it, we follow the research, which is 5.5 meters per second. You divide 100 by 5.5 meters per second, and that will give you an 18-second target. And that's what we need to do if we want to try and get exposure to that speed of running. If it's a little bit less for junior athletes, maybe you go 4.5 meters per second, for example, then you'll get a different target. So it gives you something to focus on in terms of how fast your rep should be, but also how long you should be resting. So for those going for 18 seconds with their work, you want to have a minimum of 18 seconds rest. So you can replenish, recover enough to be able to go at that speed again. Simple answer, whether you're recovering enough is, are you moving the same? So the quality of movement is just as good as the rep before, and are you hitting the target? If you're not, then rest longer, as rest period allows intensity. So remember, short rep running, 60 meter efforts, 70 meters, 80, 90, 100s, all the way anywhere up to 150 usually is pretty good. And for those high speed efforts, have a target. So look at your workout, your training session that you've got for that day, and break down what targets you need to hit for those meters. So you can consistently hit the speed every rep. And that's really, really important. High speed running repeat speed sessions should be done at a minimum once per week in the off season, pre-season. So that's another thing. Make sure you're getting weekly exposure at this quality. For those that like speed forwards, speed defenders that are really focusing on it and need to develop this area, I'll throw in an extra high speed repeat speed session every fortnight. So rather than doing 2 over the fortnight, they'll end up covering 3. So they get a couple of sessions extra exposure over a month. The reason we wouldn't go doing more than two times of repeat speed a week is due to the stress on the joints and hamstrings, hip flexors that repeat speed running has. So we need to respect that with some longer recovery in between efforts. So any more than 2 puts you in a potential risk for a soft tissue injury like hip flexor, quad, hamstring, so forth. So make sure you respect these sessions and you're focusing on that quality of movement and hitting your targets. In terms of the podcast this week, we have our interview with Kelvin Giles that I did last week. That will be published on the podcast on Wednesday. Unbelievable episode, one of the favorite. He's a pioneer, particularly in rugby and track and field. Real inspiration, his passion for someone that's been in the industry for nearly 50 years is through the roof amazing. So for anyone that works in this field of sport, make sure to check it out, or any coach for that matter. And certainly for the athletes, make sure you tune in as Kelvin talked about athlete development and some of the key focuses, not only for athletes, but also for parents of young developing athletes to focus on to maximize your potential. On Thursday, I've got another massive show episode. We've got Alex Moore. He worked at the Brisbane Lions during their heyday and the premiership days. He then went to the Cleveland Cavaliers and worked with LeBron James, Kevin Love, and had some real success over there during their some of their prime days with championships at LeBron James. And then he came over, worked with the Kangaroos, and then now he's with the Illawarra Hawks. So he's a well-known name in the industry of strength and conditioning, and a real expert when it comes to strength and power and high performance management. So really looking forward to catching up with Alex. That will be this Thursday for those listening to the podcast. If you're listening live, it's in a week's time, as I'm streaming live now at Thursday at 2:00. So it'll be next Thursday at 1:30 p.m, our interview with Alex Moore. And then this Sunday, we've got Tom Van Kalken. Our bite-sized episode will be released. That was from our recently collaborative live event with high school strength and conditioning coaches. So he's the head strength and conditioning coach for Geelong Grammar. So make sure to tune in for that one. If you're listening to this recording, the live show with social influencers has already occurred. So it was hosted last Friday. If you're listening live, it's tomorrow. So make sure to tune in to join myself, Paydos, Jetmates, 9 to 5 Fitness, and Prime Train at 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Friday. So make sure to tune in for that one. You will not want to miss it. If you have missed it, you can watch the recording on our YouTube channel. And then on upcoming Sundays, we'll release a bite-sized episode from each of the segments. So we're going to talk about all things to do with building a social media presence, how to build an online brand and produce high-quality content. So these are some of the biggest brands from a social media point of view in Australia. So really looking forward to learning off these guys, and hopefully you guys will get something out of it as well, whether you're trying to just boost your social media following yourself, or maybe you've got an online business and social media as part of your marketing. Then this will be no doubt some power tips will come through that you can transfer into your Instagram or TikTok and YouTube, as will no doubt provide some hot tips during that show. So that's on Friday. And then with our programming this week, so for those watching on the YouTube, I'm just going to quickly go through the program. If you're listening into Instagram and you've got any question for me, feel free to send them through and I'll do my best to answer them at the end of the show. But for those listening into the YouTube, we've got our barbell box squat. I've stripped the volume right back, 3 sets of 4. So not going as heavy as last week as it's grand final week. So making sure we're freshening up, supersetting that with your drop set. So you're on top of that 12-inch box and really focus on hitting the ground and jumping as high as you can, as fast as you can with the drop jump. So working on our elastic strength. 2 sets of 3 Nordics. You notice the weighted reverse Nordics and the weighted Nordics are gone. So no need to do those. So we're just doing 2 sets of 3 just to get some good eccentric exposure with our hammies, and stripped a lot of the other accessory work right back. So we're feeling like this week, you'll feel it's a routine week. If it's a grand final week, you shouldn't feel any residual fatigue as the week goes on, but you should feel like you've got a good stimulus and you're really ready to attack the game. And it should feel like a pretty normal week for you as well. So that's really, really important for athletes. Routine is key. So I've put in all the big rocks and then stripped some of the volume back just to make sure we maximize you feeling really good and energized on grand final day. The low box step up, make sure it is a low box and work on your hip lock at the top of those reps. Pick a moderate weight with your dumbbells and then superset that straight into your box step jumps. So you're practicing on being explosive with some heavy legs from those weight loaded step ups. Then we've got the slider walks. Remember, working on your stiff arm strength. Keep your ankles and knees squeezed together so your groins and your glutes are active. You're not arching your lower back or lowering your hips to the ground. Keep your hips just below your shoulders and working through the 10 meters there. Our long lever bridge with the medicine ball. So we're getting a little bit of perturbation work with our hamstrings. And then that's a tricep. So there's 3 exercises with the straight arm, another ring dip, straight arm strength exercise. So that's Tuesday. We stripped the volume right back. So what have we got there? We've got 8, 11, 14, for a total body session, 21 working sets, and that's the main gym program for the week on Tuesday. Monday's an active rest day. Tuesday's our main lower body strength session with some core work. Wednesdays is our main upper body strength. You've noticed the bench press has been removed. We're just working on the concentric bench, which is setting up those safety bars. If you don't have safety bars, just do a floor press. So put like a foam roller or a block on your chest. So you're not working through full range. You're just working on the fend off type movement pattern that you do on the field, and it should allow you to lift a little bit heavier as well, so you get a good stimulus through the upper body. Really focus on speed through the elbows, punch the ceiling, and control the tempo on the way back down. While you're doing your concentric heavy bench press, we're doing our med ball circuit. So you've got the granny toss, rebound throws, and those rebound throws. Finn, good question. I'll get to yours in a second. I'll just quickly go through the program. And then we've got single arm jammers. So for those that don't have the jammer machine, it's a neutral grip. Use a cable or use a torsionator, the landmine attachment. So some single arm power. Feel free to rotate your hips and your shoulders to get maximal speed on the bar. And then the double arm incline dumbbell rows. Pick a moderate weight. Should be smooth. You're not grinding out reps. Should be smooth, easy reps that you're moving really well and consistently for every set. So we've got 4 rounds there, and then we'll just finish with a cable shoulder plex, which is with our front raise, lateral raise, a upright row with rotation, and then the rear raise. So just to hit the shoulders, only 8 reps, so a couple of reps less per movement than last week, and just do one movement. So front raise on one side, then alternate to the other side, so you're not going to get too much fatigue. We're in the off-season, pre-season, I'd recommend doing all 40 reps on one arm before going to the next, so we are getting that fatigue, and that will stimulate your muscles to grow. Thursday is our total body power day. Continue the heavy sled push. That should be getting close to double body weight for most of you guys now. Our power off switches, we introduced them last week, so that's just working on setting your arms, set and forget the arms so they stay locked out, and then quick switch 1 and 2 with the feet. So really good for working on your anti-rotation and stiff ankles. Lateral step up, we've been doing that for some time. Remember, those that are pretty competent at it, you can bring the plate overhead with that one, and then your torsionator split jerks, working speed under the bar and really stomping the ground, so you put a good force into the ground. And then finish with our injury prevention work. 2 sets of 6 Copenhagen's, single leg snatch into hip lock position into the wall, and then the lateral change of direction drill, wall slides. Friday's an optional upper, as it's been for the last 3 or throughout the whole season. We've had 2 different primer sessions. Halfway through the season, we changed it to this recent primer circuit, where you're doing a bit of mobility, some explosive work, and that just gets your energy and your nervous system primed for game day, which is on Saturday for most of you guys. For those playing on Sunday, move the Friday primer to Saturday. If you're not sure, just hit me up in the Team Builder app. But that's it for this week, guys. Remember, we have Kelvin Giles. That podcast will be on Wednesday. Alex Moore, live chat with him, 1:30 p.m. on Thursday. And then Tom Valken, that will be released on Sunday. I'll see you guys on the podcast or on next week's live show. Yeah, Finn, I've got a home gym which consists of a bench press. Would the midfielder program suit that, or would I need more equipment? No, yeah, bench press, that can work. Bands are really ideal for our midfielders program, as we do a lot of banded rotational work with the hips and the trunk. But what I'll do, Finn, is I'll hit you up on the DMs, and it'll be good to chat on the phone about the best program for your goals, mate. So I'll follow up with you, and let's organise a time to chat. Thanks for everyone that's tuned in. I'll see you guys on the next one.